We're about to cover all of the key takeaways in this entire book in just a few minutes. Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins is a powerful guide to unlocking your full potential by pushing past mental and physical limits, embracing discomfort, and turning life's challenges into fuel for personal growth. Let's have a productive life. Chapter 1. I Should Have Been a Statistic. David Goggins opens his book with an unflinching look at his childhood. He tells us, I was born broken, grew up with beat downs, was tormented in school, and called names more times than I could count. His early years were marked by abuse at home, relentless bullying, and poverty. It would have been easy to let these circumstances dictate his life, to resign himself to being a victim of the cards he was dealt. But Goggins made a critical decision. The bad hand that was my life was mine, and mine alone to fix. This chapter is about taking ownership of your circumstances. Goggins didn't sugarcoat his struggles, nor did he let them define him. Instead, he embraced discomfort as a tool for growth. He saw pain and adversity not as barriers, but as stepping stones to a stronger, more resilient self. The key takeaway here is that no matter how challenging your situation, you have the power to change your story. Begin by accepting your circumstances fully. This is your starting point. Then intentionally seek out situations that test you. Growth rarely happens in comfort. Most importantly, let go of excuses and focus on what you can control. If Goggins could transform his life from those depths, imagine what you can achieve by taking full accountability for your journey. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Chapter 2. Truth Hurts. Goggins dives deeper into the idea of accountability by confronting uncomfortable truths. He explains that many of us carry unresolved fears and insecurities, but instead of addressing them, we push them aside. This avoidance only holds us back. He says, to develop an armored mind, a mindset so calloused and hard that it becomes bulletproof, you need to go to the source of all your fears and insecurities. For Goggins, this meant taking a hard look at his own failures and traumas. These weren't easy conversations to have with himself, but they were necessary. By confronting his fears head-on, he turned them into strengths. For example, Goggins speaks about how his insecurities about his intelligence made him feel inadequate. Instead of letting those thoughts fester, he tackled them by committing to relentless study and preparation, proving to himself that he could overcome those doubts. This chapter challenges us to conduct an honest self-assessment. What fears or weaknesses are you avoiding? Take time to reflect and identify them. Once you do, use them as tools for building resilience. Goggins teaches us that true strength comes from embracing these truths, not running from them. Commit to self-accountability, and remember, growth begins when we face the parts of ourselves we'd rather ignore. Chapter 3. The Impossible Task. David Goggins challenges us to rethink what we believe is possible. He starts with his own story, an extraordinary journey to become a Navy SEAL, despite being over 300 pounds and far from the peak physical condition required for such an elite program. This wasn't just a physical transformation, it was a complete mental overhaul. He emphasizes that most people are living far below their true potential. Warning, you are in danger of living a life so comfortable and soft that you will die without ever realizing your true potential. At the core of this chapter is what Goggins calls the 40% rule. He explains that when you feel like you've reached your limit, when you're exhausted, beaten down, or ready to quit, you've likely only tapped into 40% of your capacity. The remaining 60% is waiting for you to push past those perceived limits. Goggins used this mindset to shed the weight, endure grueling physical training, and ultimately achieve his goal. The lesson here is clear. Our limits are often self-imposed. Recognizing this truth is the first step towards shattering those boundaries. Goggins shows us that embracing difficult goals, even the ones that seem impossible, is how we grow. Along the way, setbacks will happen, whether it's failure, injury, or self-doubt. But each setback is an opportunity to reassess and reignite your efforts. When you think you're done, ask yourself, are you really only at 40%? Chapter 4. Taking souls. Goggins introduces us to the concept of taking souls. It's not about dominating others or crushing their spirit. It's about tapping into your own inner strength to defy expectations and inspire awe, even in the harshest circumstances. He says, taking souls is a ticket to finding your own reserve power and riding a second wind. During Hell Week, one of the most grueling parts of Navy SEAL training, Goggins used this mindset to turn exhaustion into motivation. When his instructors pushed him to the brink, he refused to let them see him break. Instead, he gave more effort, more focus, more resilience, until they were the ones questioning how he could keep going. By doing this, Goggins turned the tables, finding power in a situation designed to strip it away. Taking souls isn't just about physical endurance, it's about mental tactics. It requires understanding your own insecurities and using challenges as fuel to push harder. Goggins reminds us, this is a game you are playing within yourself. It's a strategy to maintain relentless focus, even when the odds are stacked against you. The actionable lesson here is to identify and address your insecurities before they can be used against you. Challenges and criticism should fuel your resolve rather than weaken it. Cultivate the mindset of pushing through adversity with such strength and determination that you inspire yourself, and perhaps even those watching you. Taking souls isn't about defeating others. It's about redefining your limits and staying mentally sharp in the face of pressure. Chapter 5. Armored Mind. To build an armored mind, Goggins says, we have to confront the fears, traumas, and failures we often try to ignore. Most people sweep their weaknesses under the rug, but as Goggins puts it, most of us sweep our failures and evil secrets under the rug. But when we run into problems, that rug gets lifted up. Avoidance doesn't make these issues go away. It just makes them harder to face later. Instead, we need to acknowledge them and use them as tools for growth. Goggins explains that developing mental toughness begins with deep self-reflection. When he looked at his own life, he didn't shy away from the hard truths. For example, unresolved issues from his past had created mental blocks, making it difficult for him to move forward. By facing these challenges head-on, he built a foundation of resilience and self-awareness, allowing him to approach life's obstacles with clarity and purpose. As he puts it, to develop an armored mind, a mindset so calloused and hard that it becomes bulletproof, you need to go to the source of all your fears and insecurities. The actionable lesson here is clear. Engage in self-reflection and identify the fears or traumas holding you back. Resilience is built through repeated discipline, meeting your challenges head-on and learning from your mistakes. Goggins teaches us that even our failures are valuable if we use them to strengthen our character. By accepting both our successes and failures, we can navigate life with greater confidence and inner strength. Chapter 6. It's not about a trophy. Goggins shifts focus to the idea of personal excellence. Many people define success by external rewards, trophies, accolades, or recognition, but Goggins challenges this mindset. He believes the real victory lies in the effort you put in and the personal limits you overcome. As he says, victory is often not defined by a trophy, but by the level of effort you are willing to put in. He recounts an ultra-marathon he ran, where success wasn't about placing first. Instead, it was about how much he pushed himself beyond his own physical and mental barriers. By focusing on effort and growth rather than external validation, Goggins found fulfillment in the process itself. This mindset transformed his approach to challenges. You don't do it for the accolades, he says. You do it because you must, because you're driven to see what's possible. What does this mean for us? First, it's a reminder to stop chasing approval from others and start competing with ourselves. Each challenge we face is an opportunity to uncover new strengths and expand our potential. By prioritizing effort and personal growth over external outcomes, we make the journey itself the reward. Chapter 7. The Most Powerful Weapon. David Goggins calls the brain the most powerful weapon in the world. He believes that learning to control and harness the mind is the ultimate key to overcoming challenges and unlocking our potential. Goggins shares that once he figured out how to master his brain, he became unstoppable to almost anything. This mastery isn't something that happens overnight. It takes intentional practice, discipline, and the right mental tools. One of Goggins' go-to strategies is visualization. He explains how vividly imagining yourself achieving your goals can fuel your focus and motivation. For example, before attempting a challenging ultramarathon, he would picture himself crossing the finish line, mentally preparing for the pain and obstacles along the way. Another technique he uses is self-talk. In moments of doubt, he creates empowering internal dialogue, replacing negative thoughts with affirmations that remind him of his strength and capabilities. This chapter is a reminder that our mindset determines our outcomes. Mastering self-talk and visualization helps channel our energy toward meaningful goals, while mental discipline keeps us moving forward when things get tough. The actionable takeaway is clear. Practice seeing yourself overcoming challenges and talk to yourself in a way that reinforces your confidence. By consistently stepping out of your comfort zone, you'll train your mind to believe in and achieve the extraordinary. Chapter 8. Talent Not Required. Goggins challenges the idea that talent is a prerequisite for greatness. Instead, he emphasizes the importance of hard work, consistency, and repetition. You can honestly outwork anything, he says, breaking down the myth that success is only for the naturally gifted. For Goggins, greatness is earned, not given, and that's good news for all of us. He shares personal examples of how he overcame limitations, not through innate ability, but through relentless effort. As he puts it, repetition is what taught me everything. Whether it was preparing for Navy SEAL training or pushing his body to run ultramarathons, he focused on small, consistent actions to build progress over time. He embraced discomfort as a necessary part of growth, understanding that each struggle was an opportunity to get stronger. This chapter encourages us to stop focusing on what we lack and start leveraging what we can control: our effort and perseverance. It's not about being born with a gift. It's about developing the habits and discipline to turn weaknesses into strengths. The actionable insight here is simple. Work hard, embrace repetition, and get comfortable being uncomfortable. Over time, these efforts compound, allowing you to surpass what you once thought was possible. Chapter 9. Uncommon amongst uncommon. In Chapter 9, Goggins highlights what it takes to excel in spaces where excellence is already the norm. He shares his experiences in the Special Forces, where he wasn't just surrounded by great individuals, he was among the best of the best. Standing out in such an environment required even greater effort and focus. As Goggins puts it, to be uncommon amongst uncommon men is not easy. He explains that once you achieve a high level of success, it's tempting to grow complacent. You might find yourself coasting on your past achievements instead of continuing to push the boundaries. Goggins calls this torching the complacency. And he encourages us to keep seeking opportunities for growth, no matter how successful we become. The key lesson here is that greatness isn't a one-time achievement. It's an ongoing process that demands continuous self-improvement. For us, this means constantly challenging ourselves, even after hitting significant milestones. Whether it's in your career, personal fitness, or any other endeavor, the pursuit of excellence doesn't stop when you reach the top. It only intensifies. Avoid complacency by pushing your limits and setting new goals. Lead by example, showing others what's possible when you refuse to settle. Chapter 10. The Empowerment of Failure. In Chapter 10, Goggins reframes failure as a necessary and powerful teacher. He emphasizes that failure is not something to fear, but something to embrace as part of the journey to success. He says, "Failure will never overtake me if my determination to succeed is strong enough." This mindset allowed him to turn setbacks into opportunities for growth and self-reflection. Goggins shares examples of his own failures and how they shaped him. Each setback forced him to refine his approach and strengthen his resolve. For instance, during his initial attempts at grueling physical challenges, he often fell short. Instead of giving up, he used those failures as motivation to redouble his efforts. As he says, failure is the only way to grow and learn. The takeaway here is simple. Don't fear failure. Learn from it. Reflect on your setbacks to identify areas for improvement. Use them as stepping stones to refine your strategies and grow stronger. Cultivate a mindset that views failure as a necessary part of success, not an obstacle. Remember, every failure is an opportunity to become more resilient and better prepared for the next challenge. Please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Thank you. Chapter 11. What if? In the final chapter we're exploring, Goggins challenges us to adopt the what-if mindset. He asks, what if you gave everything you had and more? This simple question opens the door to possibilities we may never have considered. It encourages us to push beyond perceived limitations and imagine what we could achieve if we truly gave our all. Goggins shares how this mindset helped him accomplish things he once thought impossible. By asking, what if? He transformed moments of doubt into moments of action. This approach fosters curiosity and resilience, inspiring us to take risks and pursue extraordinary goals. It's not about avoiding challenges, but about tackling them head-on with the belief that we're capable of more than we realize. The actionable insight here is to use the what-if mindset to reframe your goals and challenge self-imposed limits. Instead of doubting yourself, ask what's possible if you commit fully to your aspirations. Take proactive steps toward those goals, even if they feel daunting at first. Commit to giving your absolute best in everything you do, and see where it takes you.